Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Penguin Live TV. My name is Heather and I'm a ranger here at Phillip Island Nature Park's Penguin Parade. Tonight we're going to be watching the smallest penguin in the world cross the beach. I also have my fellow ranger Michael here tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
So, folks, we've been inundated with the amount of people that have been watching on YouTube and Facebook, and we just like to tell you that we love your questions, and please keep sending your questions and we'll have some rangers during the day answering the questions. So what we're looking out on is the beach at Summerlands here, Phillip Island, Victoria, Australia. So you can see there's a little white building up in the stands there, and tonight Ranger Beck will be counting the penguins from that little skybox, we call it, and then to the east Pip will be on the east stand helping her count the penguins. So we have been counting the penguins here since 1968, folks. It's the longest count, natural bird count, and we use the same method as what we did in 1968, and that's binoculars. I'm one of the rangers that actually counts them here, so it's a pretty difficult job, especially this time of year when there's lots of penguins coming ashore. We're really lucky tonight. We have a low tide, so that means that the penguins, it's good for us because we're going to view the penguins walking across the sand for a large distance. But for the penguins, it's a little scary because they're very exposed. Sometimes the tide is right up to that vegetation there and they can just kind of slip in. So we're here on Phillip Island, and it's also called Malau, a name given by the traditional custodians of this land, the Bunurong people, and I would like to pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. And any people of First Nations joining us this evening, tell us what land that you're on, and tell us folks where you're watching from. A big thanks to everyone who has visited Phillip Island Penguin Parade in the past, and the Koala Conservation Centre, sorry folks, and Churchill Island. They're the attractions here that Phillip Island Nature Parks run. So we can't wait for you to be able to come back and visit us at Phillip Island safely. So we're really looking forward to that. So we're looking down the beach here. So we might go to, last night we had some Pacific gulls, which are nasty birds of prey for our little penguins out there. I can't see any tonight, but what we're going to be viewing tonight, folks, is the smallest penguin in the world, the little blue penguin, and the only penguin with blue feathers. They are amazingly resilient birds. They spend 80% of their life out in the water foraging for fish. So they eat whole fish, small fish like anchovies, whitebait, squid. And these little penguins weigh approximately 1 kilo, and they're around about 33 centimetres tall, or 12 inches. And as I said, they spend most of their life out in the water. But at the moment, it's a very exciting time to be viewing them because it's the breeding season. We've got quite a few penguins sitting on eggs, and we have some little chicks that have already hatched in the research sites here on Summerlands Beach. So I think I mentioned last night, for those people that were viewing, the night before we had 983 penguins. I said, let's see if we can get over 1,000 tonight. So folks, last night there were 1,320 penguins in the 50 minutes we counted them. But tonight, it's Saturday night, it's date night, folks. So let's hope that we see a lot of penguins coming ashore, socializing, and maybe having a date with their partners. It's the male that owns the house or the burrow, and he invites a female to be his partner. So they are quite sophisticated birds. They both will take in turns of incubating the eggs. And the reason for that, folks, is that they only eat fish, so they have to go out in the ocean to feed themselves. So while one of the adults is sitting on those 2 eggs that the female lays, the other will be out fishing. The adults don't feed each other. They eat for themselves, and one of them will come home and relieve the other one that's sitting on the eggs. So shall we have a look if we can see if there's any out in the water there. So a raft of penguins or a group of penguins in the water is called a raft, and that's because that's exactly what they look like. They look like a raft, just kind of bobbing up and down in the water. So what they're doing out there now is they're rafting up. They're lining up in front of their path, and they're waiting for it to be dark enough. Now, they're waiting for it to be dark enough because of the birds of prey. So the sea eagles, the wedge-tailed eagles, and like those birds that we seen last night, those Pacific gulls, they're waiting for those birds not to be around. They're pretty smart. They know that once the sun goes down, that those birds, because they hunt with their eyes, they won't be able to be hunting, and that they are roosting in the trees for the night. So what they're doing out in the water is they're communicating with each other, and they communicate with each other a little bit like a duck quacking, but it's more of a huck, 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 huck. And they're saying, hey, do you think it's dark enough? Hey, do you think we should start coming in? And one might say to the other, no, not dark enough yet. Yeah. So it is all about the light. It's about the amount of light. And folks, they are wild birds. So every night it's different. Every night the beach is different here. You could come and visit us in summer, and where we're looking right now, there could be a lot of kelp and seaweed, a metre high. And I've observed when the penguins were coming up to that seaweed that wasn't there the night before, and they're looking round and thinking, what's going on here? And there was a tiny little track between that seaweed, and sure enough, our smart little penguins, they found that track through the seaweed. So every penguin that crosses the beach tonight, folks, is an adult penguin, and they're going to be returning to within 30 metres, or approximately 30 metres of where they were born. They do this, folks, without GPS maps or without Google Maps. They know. So what they use is they use landmarks. Once we get onto that highway where we'll show you on the camera, you can actually see they're looking around for their landmarks.
Is there a raft in the middle of the camera? See, Heather?
So is there a raft out there, Michael?
There's a raft right in the middle of the screen.
Oh, fantastic. There's a first raft out there. Can you see that darkness in the water? Now they're coming a little closer in. If we were sitting in the stands, folks, we would actually hear them. We would hear the hucking, communicating to each other. They may be the smallest penguin in the world, but they're pretty loud, especially when they get on land. The hucking in the water isn't quite as loud as when they're on land, but they're very vocal. They're coming ashore, if not to relieve their partners sitting on eggs, or some of them have got fish in their bellies already feeding their chicks. Some of them are coming to socialise, and as I said, Saturday night, it's date night. So let's see if we can see a bit of romance when they come ashore. So we're just looking at the rocks there. Maybe we can zoom in a little closer and see if we can see any. The other night we had one very early penguin. They I sometimes predict what they do. Sometimes I'm right, they are wild birds. As I said last night, predicting penguins can be a little tricky. But yeah, every night it's different. Every night there's different birds coming ashore. Sometimes there is one or two brave ones. They're very eager to get ashore.
I've got a few questions if you'd like to
I
answer.
would love a question, Michael.
So Aaron asked, do they shred in summer? I think he means shed
Yep.
the feathers.
Great question, Aaron. So yeah, they are birds and they do get a new set of feathers. So once the breeding season is over, so probably at the start of autumn, at the end of summer, they do exactly that. What they do is after they've reared their chicks, they go out in the water and they stay out there for a few weeks at a time, and they really eat as much fish as they can. And they cross the beach nearly sometimes double their weight. So we've seen penguins that are 2 kilos crossing the beach because they know they have to stay on land to lose their feathers, to molt for around about between 17 and 20 days. So they can't go out in the water and eat, so they stay in their burrows during the day where they're nice and protected, pushing out their feathers. And as I said, they've really eaten a lot of fish to sustain staying on land. So yeah, they do molt. That's a great question. So when we're looking out here at Summerlands Beach, folks, sometimes we come down to work and there's surfers out in the water. In fact, I think I've been down and you've been out there, Michael.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's pretty cold at the moment.
Yep.
We've got to wear a lot of rubber. We're not like penguins, so we don't oil up, but we suit up. So yeah, it's nice to be able to come to work and live on Phillip Island and enjoy the place where we live. So yeah.
So have we got any penguins at the water's edge yet? Let's have a little look.
So do the penguins have a set time they come in? Are they sometimes a bit late?
They are a little late sometimes. As I explained, it is all about them feeling safe. So if it's a little lighter, which it obviously is tonight, they won't leave that water until they feel really safe. As I said, crossing the beach is the scariest part of the day for them. So we'll have a little look if there are any coming ashore. We've had a night here where there's been really thick sea mist and a lot less penguins came ashore because they couldn't see. So it is all about the light. They are very clever birds. They won't cross that beach until they're quite ready. So let's have a look what's happening. So here we go, folks. Penguins! Penguins! So watch them as they leave the water. See how they're grouping together. And we'll try and zoom in so you can actually, see them really close up. And yeah, so they're not confident yet. They're grouping together. They're communicating, going, hey, what do you reckon? Is it going to be safe? Are we going? Oh, look at that one at the edge there. Got his flippers out. So they're gingerly starting their dangerous dash across the beach here. And as I've said on other nights, folks, you have a go at counting them. It's a pretty tricky job, and we may hear from our penguin counters how many's in this first group. So they're feeling safe because there's a whole group of them. Look at those two at the back lagging behind. Oh, maybe that one at the back's going to go back into the ocean. So when they get to these rocks here, folks, they feel a little safer because they're blending in with the basalt rocks with their blue feathers. Sometimes they even just really stop here for a few minutes. So see how their little heads are looking around. They're flicking from side to side. They also do that because penguins drink salt water and they have a little desalination plant at the top of their beaks, and they're getting rid of the salt. So that's another reason they may be shaking their little heads there. So see them going over the rocks. They're almost like moving rocks, making their way across. And it's just at the other end of these rocks here, what I call the imaginary line. And that's where they won't turn back once they've reached that imaginary line. And that imaginary line's in different places every night. So once they get there, they usually really take off and walk or waddle a lot faster. So let's watch them. Where's the imaginary line tonight? It's about here, I reckon, folks. Yeah, so see how they're taking off? They're almost at the rocks, at the water's edge, at the Penguins Plus stand here. So they're just disappearing behind the bushes there, but we're going to see them on the rocks pretty soon. And this area here, folks, is the Penguins Plus stand. So when we can invite visitors back, this is a great place to watch penguins. You're up really close to them. So here they come over the rocks. Now, Heather, you're predicting behaviour again, but they may stop here, and Jordan calls this the salon. So they may stop here and preen themselves. You know, they've left one environment and they're moving to the other environment. That they want to maybe, preen their feathers, make themselves look good. They always have to have waterproof feathers. So you can see them preening themselves with their beaks, and they have a little oil gland at the bottom of their tail where they condition their feathers. So these ones are going to head home. They're not going to stay in the salon for very long at all. And see how they're stretching out, folks. So when they stretch out when they walk, that's making them look bigger than what they are. So that's interesting that they're doing that across here tonight. So we might try and follow some of these penguins up the path here. Let's see. Oh, is that a penguin going the wrong way there? So that isn't a penguin going the wrong way. That one there is a female. And what is she doing? She's going down. We call them shell gritters. And she's how she's pecking. She's pecking at the shell grit. So she has eggs forming in her belly, and she's eating that shell grit for calcium and minerals for her eggs. So that's what she's doing. She's a shell gritter. So we might try and follow them across up the hill maybe. See if we can do that. See them crossing here. So this path, and folks, this is a really steep hill. This is, these penguins that walk up this hill, and this is their track. The penguins that live up here, this is the same track. Or we might go onto the major highway. I can see quite a few coming along there. Yeah, look at them. So quite a few. This is what I call highway number 1. See how they're walking, looking round, looking for a landmark, whether they have to turn off to their burrow, to their street. And see the glass that they're walking past. Folks, that is the underground viewing. And that's another ticket you can buy when you come and visit us again. And you're looking at penguins at eye level. And sometimes penguins are peeping in, looking at the people in there too. So it looks like that has they have finished that pass, so we might go back to the beach.
So, I've got another question if you'd like to answer
Yeah.
while we're at it. So, Dylan was wondering, how long do they spend at sea?
Great question, Dylan. It's it's pretty hard to answer, really. So, as I explained before, they spend 80% of their life out in the water. During winter, when they don't have such a reason to come ashore, they can stay out there for 4 or 5 weeks at a time. So they're spending a lot of time at sea. Whereas at the moment, where it's the breeding season and maybe they're mating up, or they're sitting on eggs, or they're feeding chicks, they're going to come ashore a lot quicker, or a lot less frequently. Yeah, no, more frequently. Sorry. Oh, look at these ones down here preening themselves. That's fantastic. Sometimes, because they're preening themselves with their beaks, they can't get round the back of their heads, so they preen each other, and it's like they're embracing. It's very cute.
There's no
And
social distancing for these little guys.
there is no social distancing for penguins. Yeah, how lucky are they? They're very lucky. These penguins that are hanging out here together in the salon. Oh, that one looks like it's doing a bit of penguin yoga. It's got its flipper up there. They are probably neighbours, or they live along this path. So as I explained, these penguins are going to return to around about 30 metres of where they were born, and they're going to take the same path every time they come ashore. Oh, wow, look, here's another group crossing the rocks here. Well, there's a straggly one, a couple of straggly ones at the backs. Let's see if they catch up. And yeah, they're going to group across the rocks, maybe. Here I am predicting them again, to make themselves look like a bigger mass. As I said, safety in numbers. And, for the counters, it's easier when they stretch out like a long march for us to count them. But, they're wild birds. They're not going to know that we're counting them even. So, yeah, they're going to hop down off those rocks, and then they're going to get to the imaginary line, folks. So let's watch that behaviour, because that's one of my favourite things during the night, of watching them cross the beach, especially at a low tide. The old imaginary line, here they come. So see how, they've all kind of got different personalities. Some are really kind of very upright. Some are, they've gone behind the bushes. They're going to come out the other side, folks. Don't worry. They're going to come on those rocks, and we'll watch them moving across the rocks, and we'll see if they hang around in the salon. Maybe we can zoom in and have a look if they're going to do a little preen there, a little chat to each other. Yeah, here we go. So I wonder what they're saying to each other. Do you reckon they really know that it's Saturday night and it's date night? Ooh, maybe. They do look happy to see each other. And folks, can I just explain about how penguins make everyone happy? It's probably the worst kept secret now that we've started live streaming penguins, that they bring happiness. I've worked as a ranger here for quite a few years now, and I just love seeing visitors with their children explaining the emotion and the happiness that when they visited here as children, how happy they made them feel. So we're loving being able to bring this live streaming to you, because it does. It brings happiness into especially our lives. There's another shellgritter. See how she's eating some shellgrit? So she will be forming eggs in her belly. So Michael tells me there's 5 minutes left to go. Maybe you have another question.
Eleanor, she asks, how long do penguins live for?
Oh, great question. Yeah. We say approximately 8 years, but the oldest penguin we ever studied here was 25 years and 9 months old, I think. Just about 26 years old anyway. So folks, while we've got 5 minutes to go, can I just tell you about the Penguin Foundation, which you can donate under the logo on the right-hand side of the screen there. The Penguin Foundation funds our wildlife hospital, research, conservation. We do some great work here. So it's Father's Day tomorrow. So if you've got a dad that's got everything, maybe you can adopt a penguin for him. It's in adoption by name only, but yeah, if you if you're looking for a gift, a last minute gift, yeah, maybe that's a thought. Also, while I'm wrapping up, there's a lot of volunteers that work here at Phillip Island Nature Parks, and I would just like to give a shout out to all our volunteers, because not only can our visitors not come, our volunteers can't come here either at the moment. So a shout out to all the people, the wonderful people that volunteer their time, making an enormous difference here at the Penguin Parade. So hope everyone's keeping safe, and thank you for the work you do, volunteers. We finished with questions, Michael?
Yeah, I think we've got time for one more. So how many chicks can the penguins have in a season?
Oh, that is a good question. How many chicks can they have in a season? So the breeding season this year has started early. So I'm going to make a prediction that some penguins will have a second clutch of eggs this year. It's not, they don't always do that. They will do that when there's an abundance of fish out there and when they've started breeding early. The standard is that each year penguins have 2 eggs and raise 2 chicks. It takes a lot of energy to feed those chicks. You know, they when they're born, they're about the size of a chicken. Both parents come and feed them. So within 8 weeks, those little chicks turn into fully grown penguins, and they make their first journey down to the ocean. So the parents are often quite depleted by the time they've fed their chicks, so they then go out to the ocean and eat as much fish as they can to build themselves up again. So maybe they might have another clutch. So we'll have to watch what happens and talk to our research people about that. So we're going to be doing this every night, folks. We're loving all your feedback, all your questions. We've got rangers during the day answering your questions, so please keep your questions coming. Tune in every night if you can. As I said, we're loving presenting our penguins to you.
Yep, that's it.
So it's probably time for Michael and I to call it a night. As I explained, it is Saturday night, and I reckon Michael's probably got a date. Yeah. Again, thank you for joining in. and watching our live stream. Michael and I will be here tomorrow night, and then next week we'll have some new rangers. Stay safe, and thank you for viewing.
Good night.
Good night.
Great.